Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're diving into something that I know a lot of you have been asking about, and honestly, it's one of those topics that gets people really heated on both sides. We're talking about money manifestation. Does it actually work? Can you really think your way to wealth? Or is this whole thing just a beautifully packaged scam that preys on people's financial insecurities? Stick around because I'm going to break this down in a way that might surprise you, regardless of which camp you're in right now. Let me start with a story. A few years ago, I had a friend, let's call her Sarah, who was absolutely obsessed with manifestation. She had vision boards everywhere. She was doing affirmations every morning, and she genuinely believed that the universe was going to drop a pile of cash into her lap. And you know what? Nothing happened. Month after month, she kept waiting for her big break, but her bank account stayed exactly the same. She eventually got frustrated and declared the whole thing a scam. But here's where it gets interesting. About a year later, Sarah tried again, but this time she approached it completely differently, and within 6 months, her income had doubled. So what changed? That's exactly what we need to unpack here. First, let's talk about what money manifestation actually claims to be. At its core, manifestation is based on the law of attraction, which suggests that your thoughts and feelings can directly influence your reality. The idea is that if you focus intensely on wealth, visualize it, feel it, and believe it's already yours, the universe will somehow align circumstances to make it happen. Some people take this very literally, believing in a sort of cosmic ordering system. Others view it more psychologically as a way to reprogram your mindset and behaviors around money. And this distinction is absolutely crucial because it's where the truth actually lives. Now, I'm going to be straight with you. If you're sitting on your couch, closing your eyes, and just thinking really hard about money while doing absolutely nothing else, you're probably not going to manifest a single dollar. The universe isn't Amazon Prime. You can't just place an order and expect delivery in 2 days. And this is a massive, but that doesn't mean manifestation is completely worthless. It just means we need to understand what's actually happening beneath all the spiritual language and Instagram quotes. Let's look at what science tells us. There's no evidence that thoughts alone can magically attract money or alter physical reality. That's just not how the world works. However, there is substantial evidence that our thoughts profoundly influence our behaviors, and our behaviors absolutely do shape our reality. This is where manifestation starts to make sense. When you constantly think about being poor, when you tell yourself you're bad with money, when you believe wealth is impossible for you, you're programming your brain to look for evidence that confirms these beliefs. It's called confirmation bias, and it's incredibly powerful. Your brain becomes a heat-seeking missile for failure, and guess what? It finds it everywhere. On the flip side, when you genuinely believe that financial abundance is possible for you, something shifts. You start noticing opportunities you would have previously ignored. You become more willing to take calculated risks. You're more likely to invest in yourself, to negotiate for higher pay, to start that side business you've been thinking about. Your brain literally starts filtering reality differently. There's actually a neurological phenomenon called the reticular activating system, and it's basically your brain's spam filter. It decides what information gets through to your conscious awareness. When you set a clear financial goal and focus on it regularly, you're essentially reprogramming this filter to highlight money-making opportunities. But here's where most people get manifestation completely wrong. They focus exclusively on the feeling and the visualizing part while completely ignoring the action part. Real manifestation, if we're going to call it that, is not passive. It's not about waiting for the universe to deliver. It's about aligning your internal state with external action. Think about it this way. If you want to manifest $100,000, you need to become the type of person who can earn, handle, and keep $100,000. That requires skill development, financial education, work ethic, and probably some uncomfortable growth. The visualization and affirmations are just tools to keep you motivated and focused while you do the actual hard work. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you're doing manifestation work around getting a promotion at your job. You visualize yourself in that new role. You feel the excitement of that bigger paycheck. You affirm that you're worthy of advancement. Great. But if that's all you do, you're missing the point entirely. The manifestation work should inspire you to actually perform at a higher level, to take on additional responsibilities, to communicate your ambitions to your boss, to develop the skills needed for that position. The internal work should drive external action. That's when things actually change. Now let's talk about the dark side of manifestation culture, because there absolutely is one. The most toxic element is the victim blaming that often comes with it. You'll hear people say things like, if you're poor, it's because you have a poverty mindset, or if you're struggling financially, you're just not manifesting correctly. This is incredibly harmful, and frankly, it's just not true. There are systemic barriers, economic realities, and circumstances beyond individual control that affect people's financial situations. Someone working 3 jobs to survive isn't failing because their thoughts aren't positive enough. They're facing economic structures that make upward mobility incredibly difficult. We cannot ignore real-world factors like wage stagnation, cost of living increases, healthcare expenses, student debt, and systemic inequality. The other problematic aspect is how manifestation is often sold. There's a whole industry built around this stuff, and a lot of it is predatory. People selling courses, seminars, and coaching programs promising that you'll manifest millions if you just buy their system. These programs often target people who are already struggling financially, which is deeply unethical. The irony is that the only people manifesting wealth in this scenario are the ones selling the manifestation programs. So please be critical. If someone is promising you specific financial results from manifestation alone, run in the other direction. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. There are genuinely valuable elements to manifestation practices when they're done right. Visualization is used by elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and high performers across every field. Why? Because mentally rehearsing success actually does prepare your brain for it. When you visualize yourself successfully negotiating a raise, your brain is essentially running a simulation. You're practicing the emotional regulation, the confidence, the communication skills you'll need in that real moment. This isn't magic, it's mental preparation, and it works. Affirmations, too, can be powerful, but not in the mystical way they're often portrayed. Positive affirmations work best when they're believable and action-oriented. Instead of saying, I am a millionaire, when you're broke, which your brain will immediately reject as false, try something like, I am learning to make better financial decisions every day, or I am capable of increasing my income. These statements feel authentic, and they prime your brain to look for ways to make them true. The key is combining them with actual learning and action. Goal setting is another manifestation technique that absolutely works, but again, it's not because the universe is listening. It's because clear goals give your brain a target. There's research showing that people who write down specific financial goals are significantly more likely to achieve them than people who don't. But it's not the writing itself that's magical. It's that the act of writing clarifies your thinking, increases commitment, and makes you more likely to create plans and take action. When you combine written goals with regular review and adjustment, you create a feedback loop that naturally moves you toward your objectives. So does money manifestation work? The answer is yes and no. If you're expecting pure thought energy to materialize cash in your bank account, then no, it absolutely does not work, and anyone telling you otherwise is either delusional or trying to sell you something. But if you understand manifestation as a psychological tool for mindset shift, motivation, opportunity recognition, and behavioral change, then yes, it can be incredibly effective as part of a larger strategy. The manifestation work handles the internal obstacles like limiting beliefs, fear, and lack of clarity. But you still have to handle the external work, developing skills, creating value, taking strategic action, and persisting through setbacks. Here's what I think is the most useful way to approach this whole thing. Treat manifestation practices as your mental gym. Just like you go to the gym to build physical strength, use visualization, affirmations, and goal setting to build mental and emotional strength around money. But just like physical fitness requires both gym time and proper nutrition, financial success requires both inner work and outer work. You cannot manifest a lack of financial education. You can't visualize your way out of never taking any risks. You can affirm your way past refusing to negotiate or advocate for yourself. The people who seem to successfully manifest money are usually doing a bunch of other things too. They're educating themselves about finance and investing. They're developing valuable skills. They're networking and building relationships. They're creating or contributing to things that other people find valuable. They're showing up consistently even when they don't feel like it. The manifestation work keeps them focused and motivated, but the real results come from sustained, intelligent action. I also think it's worth noting that sometimes what looks like manifestation is actually just probability and timing. If you're consistently putting yourself out there, meeting people, creating content, building a business, applying for opportunities, then yes, eventually something is going to work out. But that's not the universe responding to your vibration. That's just statistics. The more at-bats you take, the more likely you are to hit the ball. Manifestation might help you take more swings, but it's the swinging that matters. So, what's my final verdict? Money manifestation is a tool, not a solution. It's useful for motivation, focus, and mindset management, but it's not a replacement for strategy, skill, and hard work. If you want to incorporate manifestation into your financial life, go for it, but do it intelligently. Use it to clarify your goals, overcome limiting beliefs, and maintain motivation. But pair it with real financial education, concrete action plans, and consistent effort. Don't blame yourself if things don't manifest on your timeline because there are real factors beyond your control. And definitely don't spend money you don't have on manifestation programs promising overnight wealth. The truth is, building wealth is less mystical and more mechanical than manifestation culture wants to admit. It's about earning more than you spend, investing the difference wisely, developing valuable skills, and giving it time to compound. Manifestation can help you stay focused on that path and believe it's possible for you, which is genuinely valuable. But it can't substitute for the path itself. So manifest if it helps you, but also educate yourself, take action, be patient, and stay grounded in reality. That's the formula that actually works. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what your experience with manifestation has been, and I'll see you in the next one.